What an intro.
Fantastic. You gotta love it. Finally, we could use that as a theme song. I'll just make sure we are live everywhere.
Do 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 do. Like bunch of wankers.
To everyone joining, welcome. Welcome. We'll wait a couple minutes before we get underway. Just let everyone join in. If you are watching, feel free to say hi. Just to know that you're there.
Dance.
Or dance as well.
I'm breaking too fast. Don't you know you can't catch me? Thanks for the stuff.
Garrett Crap, welcome, mate. He says the Daniel Ricciardo news is disappointing. Last year, Red Bull was his saviour. Now they're trying to break him down like McLaren. And we will definitely get into that very, very soon.
Yes, there's a fair bit to uncover. I'm just going to watch our pod and see that song.
Max Verstappen, the GOAT, welcome. Welcome, mate. How are you? This is, of course, our F1 debrief for the Australian Grand Prix. We'll get underway in just a minute.
I didn't hear the song on this. That's all right.
Just having a quick play with some settings before we get underway. So, for those who can't stay for the whole stream, we will be re-uploading this as a pod video in Spotify tomorrow evening as well.
Yes, sir.
We'll get into that, Max. There's something I really do want to talk about. You'll see in a minute, Alex. So, should we get underway?
Let's do it.
All right. Do let us know if the stream does play up. I don't think there's much we can do about it, but you're more than welcome to let us know. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LTM podcasts. We are hosts Daniel and Alex once again. This is, of course, the F1 debrief, the Australian Grand Prix review. And if you're watching on live, welcome. If not, you can catch us on live in future videos on YouTube and TikTok. We'll also be uploading this to Spotify. So if you're listening there, be sure to give it a 5-star rating and a follow. It will help us a lot. Alex, how are you, first of all? And what did you think of this weekend?
I'm really, really good.
He's getting into the zone.
This is a terrible song. Anyway, that was the Italian national anthem. Ferrari's back.
I couldn't hear it, but
Oh, damn. That's an idiot.
that's because my brain's automatically got the Dutch theme, Dutch anthem in my brain.
Yeah, no one knows what the other one sounds like.
No, exactly. Jared Crab, welcome. Max Verstappen, the GOAT, welcome as well. So close for Oscar podium, though. Yes, so close. Unfortunately, Lando, he gave the position to Lando. We'll get into that as well as we talk about tonight. And that sums up the weekend. Pretty cool, hey? Gotta love it. Love it.
I'm stoked. Everyone's happy. Max Verstappen DNF'd. It's the perfect weekend.
That's it. And in terms of that Piastri and Lando thing, I agree. It is the right call. Lando, it's like at Japan last year. Lando just knows he has better race pace than Oscar does in terms of tyre wear anyway. Oscar's still learning with that. Of course, it's only his second year in Formula One, so That's all right. But fourth place is nothing to complain about, though. And Jared says, dodgy news reports from NZ backing Lawson for Red Bull, but he is a rookie, so not really Perez replacement. Yuki showed he is not mature enough to think of race strategy. Yeah, that's... Red Bull's got an interesting thing at the moment with potentially Max and Sergio leaving Red Bull. Of course, that's an open-ended question till the end of the year. It's interesting to see because, of course, basically there was some news for those just joining on the pod. Ricciardo has been given an ultimatum to improve, or he's going to get kicked out by Miami. And Lawson will be hopping in that seat full time. Now, it's like Jared says here, we're not too sure on the credibility of the source, but it does sound like something Helmut Marko would do.
Yeah, we don't know exactly if that's true or not, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not surprised if that is true. So, look, it sucks, but at the end of the day, since Daniel's come in, besides Mexico, he hasn't done that well. So, look, the car is not great, and that's not helping. But the fact is constantly being outperformed by Yuki, most of the time at least. It is a bit harsh, but look, I think the reason why Red Bull's doing this is because Liam Lawson proved that he does deserve a F1 seat, and he will have offers next year. So, I think they want him in a car before the end of the year.
Definitely, I agree. And personally, the thing is, I'm a softie for Ricciardo. Like, I want him to do well, but the thing is, it's hard. I'm not comparing him to the race results, right? I'm comparing him to Yuki. That's what you need to focus on, is the comparison between Yuki and him. Because I looked at a comparison online. I don't know, I can't remember where I saw it from, but he was 4/10 slower than Yuki for the year so far, and Nick De Vries was also. So it is interesting. Yuki, though, he is doing well. Of course, he's a lot younger than Daniel. But
that'll come into factor too, I think.
I think Yuki's a bit immature, at least for a Red Bull seat. Whereas Ricciardo, I'm starting to lose faith, unfortunately. But like I said, see how it goes. But I guess we'll find out more in the year as the year goes on regarding that Red Bull seat or seats for next year. Max Verstappen, the GOAT, says, I got a feeling a title fight for next year. I hope so. I hope we get one this year. But it's going to be a bit tricky.
Next year, this year, mate.
Jared Crab says Lando asked about swapping post-race. Flipped off fan asked, yeah, I saw that. I think I was just some banter. Lando's a bit of a character. I didn't think much of it.
I was surprised to put the finger on, but apart from that, yeah.
I mean, in fairness,
it wasn't the best look.
No, not really, but it is what it is. Zach, thanks for sharing the live, mate. Appreciate it. But so yeah, let's get into the race. Overall, pretty good weekend. The fact that Max Verstappen retired, which means we actually had a race. But before that, Carlos Sainz pulled a really good move on him, heading into turn 9, just before, I believe. Now, what happened with Max was he had a cooling issue with his right rear brake. So basically, it wasn't cooling down at all. So it felt more like a handbrake than anything.
Yeah, it was stuck on.
So,
which means it didn't cool down at all, and cooked it and melted the whole right rear axle and brakes and tire even.
And that was it.
Everything was cooked, literally.
But in saying that, besides from him getting pole position, Ferrari were doing very well this weekend in practice sessions and the race. They were 1-2 for a lot of the weekend. So I'm happy about that. That's what you want to see.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, I know you are.
Can you tell?
Nah, you're a Merc fan.
Yeah, sure.
But also,
it was refreshing. It was refreshing, Daniel. That's all we wanted to say.
Exactly.
It's just nice to know that someone else can win. look, let's be honest. Besides Singapore, it hasn't really been very like the only couple winners has been Perez or when Max DNFs.
Hmm.
Singapore was the only time he didn't DNF, and there was another victory. So look, it's still I don't know how you describe it. It's kind of like a bit of luck, you know. But at the end of the day, someone's got to take the opportunity, and it wasn't Perez. And Carlos Sainz though was very quick all weekend. It was matching Max pretty much everywhere, which was good. And yeah, quite refreshing to see.
And
yeah, no, I had no complaints with Ferrari.
And the fact that he did it 2 weeks after surgery, and he basically had very little training, very little gym time. So to do that and to do that after that, it's incredible. The fact that he even got up to the top 5, but the fact that he even won is incredible. And it is also
sometimes somehow even raced. Like he wasn't even sure if he was going to even race, and Ollie Behrman would have had to step in. But look, it would have been really hard to come back from missing 2 races, 2 lots of points. So I think he kind of forced his way into the seat, but paid dividends, paid off.
Yeah. Well, we've said it before. He's definitely on a mission to prove Ferrari wrong for kicking him out of that seat for the end of the year.
Agreed, and I hope he does prove them wrong.
Yeah, and I think Max Verstappen, the GOAT, said, I'm just pretty sure it was him, the rumour going around about Carlos might going to Red Bull, that would be a good move for him. In my opinion, for a championship winning car.
He was there before.
He was there before in Toro Rosso. But I reckon now probably if he wants a good chance at the championship after losing his Ferrari seat, I reckon Red Bull is the way to go. Mercedes, they've had a bit of a rough patch the last couple of years since the new... I guess I reckon, and I'm also discounting them for next year as well. I just forget about this era, focus on 26 when the new regs come. For Mercedes. Yeah, so I reckon in terms of if he wants a good championship fight, I reckon he should go to Red Bull. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays. That's it. And well, it all depends if Max goes to Mercedes, but at this stage I don't think he would. But see what happens.
And I think if Perez does get kicked out and then just is forced to retire, which I don't think is a bad option, then I think that it'll probably mean that I reckon Yuki would leave Red Bull's teams. Maybe search for something else.
Go to a different non-Red Bull team, that is.
Yeah, because he's been in AlphaTauri/RB for 5 years? 4 years?
Since 2021, I think. Or 21 or 20, something like that.
I think it's 20. It feels like he's been there forever.
It's been ages. I think it's been a long time, basically. Yeah, I think 19 or 20, because he was Gasly's teammate at what do you call it, AlphaTauri. No, 2020. I'm going to put my money on 2020.
Okay.
Please.
I'll find out.
Okay. Well, while you do that, it'll be interesting to see because, Carlos could have a year off, like you said, and he could maybe join the Audi team that's coming in.
2021.
Oh, it was 21. Okay. Maybe he could join the Audi team in 2026 when they start.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting how that works.
It is going to be interesting.
I don't know if the factory team will have Joe Guan Yu and Bottas.
That's it. And the thing is, we're not guaranteed Bottas will stay there either.
I think it's at the end of his career, to be honest.
He is, unfortunately. And Mercedes did him dirty.
It was Lewis's bridesmaid for many years.
Pretty much. But, hey, at least he's a great character. And we'll get into him a bit later on tonight. Yeah, that's right. Max says Yuki was in 21 with Kvyat in 19 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gotcha. So let's move on to second place with Charles Leclerc. It's a beautiful Ferrari 1-2. You love to see it. And then, of course, we've got Lando Norris in P3. That McLaren was actually really quick this weekend. It's good to see them matching Ferrari.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate that they did kind of, well, especially Oscar, drop back a bit. Because Lando probably could have finished second if it was a bit closer, but that's okay. So I don't think they're on par with Ferrari, but they are definitely the third fastest team, which is good. Better than what they were last year, so that's good. Yeah, I was a bit surprised about that gap, but nevertheless, third places.
Yeah, like I said, it's similar to Japan last year, where Lando just has better race pace than Oscar. I think it's just about the tyre management because he did bolt afterwards. So it obviously was the right decision. As much as I would love to see Oscar up there on the podium, given we've technically never had an Aussie on the podium at Albert Park. Of course, we had Daniel Ricciardo many years ago, but he got disqualified, so it didn't count. Yeah, maybe next year we'll get it, but this year we didn't. But still, 3 and 4, good job for McLaren this weekend.
Speaking of podiums, I heard that Lando Norris found out a fact from someone.
Yeah.
That at Albert Park, the top 3 in qualifying has never all been on the podium.
Oh, really?
There's always one driver that's fallen off or crashed or something. And it's the same this year.
I love superstitions.
It's weird, right? Like, yeah, because Charles was the one that wasn't in the top 3.
Yeah. It's like what I said to you. I sent it to you that the superstition about the ones who finish 1-2 and Australia tend to win the championship team, like the team's championship. I hope that happens because I would love Ferrari to win that. But we'll see how we go.
Yeah, we'll see.
But so moving on to P5, we've got lonely Sergio Perez in the Red Bull.
Yeah, you skipped Oscar.
No, well, technically we did Oscar with Lando. They're 3 and 4.
Yeah, Oscar was too far back.
But yeah, no, he did pull some good moves though. And he also went in the grass for some reason. But that's besides the point. Fernando Alonso is in P8. Sorry, now. After the penalty. So that means...
Yeah, that changed. So you had Perez, the Stroll was 6th.
Yeah, Stroll is 6th, with Tsunoda in 7th. And then we've got,
obviously... how slow Perez was. That's he was a minute behind Carlos.
At least,
that's a Max Verstappen kind of...
He was ahead of Max, though.
Yeah.
That's his one victory for the year.
That's true. He did beat Max.
Yeah, Garrard says Yuki to Aston with Honda. That would be interesting. That'd be good. Of course, I think the Honda relationship with Yuki will help him for sure. Of course, Red Bull, of course, are using Ford powertrains next year, I think.
Yeah.
And also, or is it 26?
Next year, 2026. And it's 26.
Yeah, I can't remember. But Piastri also made a mistake, but place swap didn't look good. No, it didn't look good. It was, especially in his home race, but thing is, you got to make sacrifices to guarantee a good result. That's just...
I think the fact that they were trying to get Lando to finish second, have a go, because they weren't that far behind.
Yeah.
So obviously Lando coach.
It wasn't about losing positions behind in 4th. It was more about the fact that the Ferraris were pulling away quite quick.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he did close the gap, but yeah, not enough.
And then of course we said Alonso in 8th. Now, what do you reckon? Do you agree with that 20-second penalty? Do you reckon that was his fault for brake checking George Russell?
I did until I heard the team radio from Alonso. Did you hear that? He
had some throttle issue, didn't he? I heard it on board. I saw a replay as well.
Which, look, I don't know if the FIA knew that because it does look pretty bad. It does look like it did slow up, and I guess the aero wash the Mercedes didn't like it.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, who knows? Obviously, it didn't really affect Aston Martin too much. I guess they did lose
That was
4
about
points, yeah.
4 or 5 points, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it does hurt a little bit, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know. It's a bit harsh, but at the end of the day, George could have rear-ended Alonso and had an even bigger crash.
Yeah, it could have been more. It could have been more ugly than it was.
It could have, yeah, but I just like the last lap crashes to me are crazy.
Shit. Yeah. First off,
did you see the other stat about Carlos?
The other stat
and George? Yeah.
No. What?
So every 3 races that Carlos has won, George Russell has had a failure or a crash in the last lap.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. That's nuts.
I love superstitions.
It's so weird. What was the first race Carlos won?
Singapore.
Oh, Silverstone. Yeah, Silverstone. It was Silverstone. He won Silverstone in 2022.
Carlos?
Yeah, remember we had this argument last time?
Yeah, he won at Singapore, though. After that.
Yeah, but the first one.
First one. Yeah, now. All right, now
I remember we did the podcast in Singapore, and that was his first one. I was like, no, it's not.
That was our first pod together, and you just shut me down straight away in that episode.
Yeah, sorry. No, but that was the point. It wasn't the last lap. Sorry, no, because wasn't that the race that him and Joe Guan Yu had the huge crash with Gasly?
Silverstone race? Yeah, where he rolled at the start.
Yeah, that was that one.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't a last lap incident for Russell, but it's always an incident when Carlos wins.
Again, I love superstitions.
That's great.
P9, we've got Nico Hulkenberg, and in P10 we've got Kevin Magnussen, so double points for Haas.
Double point.
Didn't think that would happen.
I feel bad for Gunther, man.
Yeah, he seems happier though, out of the team though.
He does, and I guess, Matteo Binotto helped him make that decision from Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen that, it's a good episode, that one. And Haas has finished in the points every race. Nico Hulkenberg specifically has done all that. It's a pretty big effort.
Yeah, it's good to see that team, considering how much hate it receives. Prove everyone wrong and get double points at the bottom. Obviously, the Russell crash helped that out.
Yeah.
But what it didn't help was for Alex Albon in P11, who drove Logan's car so he could get points, only to not get point at all. But he was pretty close to getting it, though. So for those who didn't know, basically, Alex Albon crashed in FP1. The chassis was screwed. They didn't have a spare chassis. So what James Vowell did was put Logan out of the car and gave that car to Alex to race. And it upset a lot of people, but I see where he's coming from, and I do agree it was probably the best decision for the team. It was a bit unfair on Logan's behalf, but Alex has a higher chance than Logan to get a point, in my opinion. But it's one of those situations. But it didn't work out anyway, so now we can move on.
Sure. But, look, I think the fact that it didn't work out makes it worse. It put more pressure for Alex to get points in a car that he didn't drive. That wasn't his. Even though I'm sure that it would have been very similar. But still, I agree with you that it was the right decision, blah, 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 best chance of points. But, that's a punch in the bloody gut for Logan.
It is.
It's quite in my eyes, it's quite disgusting. Alex and Williams made the mistake of crashing and not bringing the spare chassis, and that shouldn't kick out another driver for two people's mistakes.
It was also a bad look for Williams too, the fact that they don't have another chassis on site.
I think that also includes freight, because Australia, a lot of the teams don't bring everything with them to Australia. It's quite expensive. And I assume that's somewhere in their budget, and I think Williams will add that to their budget next year.
Yeah, so hopefully they rock up with 3 chassis next year. But, it is, like I said, it's a hard decision, and it's unfair on Logan, he didn't set a foot wrong this weekend. and to miss out. But kudos to him for still rocking up and being part of the team. He could have easily just gone home, but he was there for the fans and the team, so that would have been a tough thing to do for sure. That would have hurt. And
his pace wasn't that bad, actually. I'm just looking at the sessions. Like, he was ahead of the Saubers, both Alpines. Well, that's pretty easy to do these days. In practice, it was actually quicker than both Haas's, so maybe that's not, comparable, but he did pretty good. And to just get kicked out like that was a bit harsh.
And hopefully it doesn't hurt his confidence heading into Japan and his relationship with the team. I guess we'll find out. I don't think it will hurt his
relationship with them. I just think that it's just, it's not a good look.
No, that's for sure. Next up, we've got Daniel Ricciardo in 12th position. Now, we briefly mentioned about him with the Red Bull and Liam Lawson. He did all right this weekend in terms of he moved up quite a few spots, and he also almost made it into Q. Like, he would have made it into Q2 if it wasn't for that track limit. And it is getting a bit harder, to support him in terms of keeping that seat.
Yeah,
it's a tough thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at the stats here. His fastest lap of the race was the 10th slower than Yuki, so he was behind, but his pace was 13th best. So,
so
I think it's not a great look.
Do you reckon?
Unfortunately, he always has an issue at Australia, doesn't he? Always an issue.
Yeah, ever since he left bloody Red Bull, hasn't had a good. Like, I remember 2019, the first year with Renault, he crashed on turn 1.
Yeah, even with Red Bull, he had disqualification, he had engine issues, he's had crashes. It's always in Australia.
Yeah, he can't catch up.
I mean, I guess Red Bull's keeping up that issues with Max Verstappen now, which is nice to see. But Australia always pulls out something weird.
Well, with saying that was Max's first mechanical DNF since Australian Grand Prix in 2022. So consistency.
Yeah, every 2 years Max won't finish the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, so look forward to 2026 for those who want to see Max not win. But we'll see what happens. And then we've got in P13, we've got Pierre Gasly, who's also ahead of Bottas in 14.
The Ricciardo meme was the best. Look, Alpine are bad.
Yeah, I haven't got much to say about Alpine.
That's it.
But Bottas, though, another pit stop drama. When are they going to be nice to him?
Bottas is... You know who Bottas is? I'm going to compare him to Supercars driver.
Mm.
And I think he's like James Courtney. Like, he had his prime a couple of years ago, second in a championship, good car, and now he's just here to earn a paycheck.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about where he finishes. He just goes home with his money. And
he's having fun.
Well, how can you, though, when you're so fucked down?
Well, I mean,
sorry.
I guess...
Like, your competitive spirit is just shattered.
Well, I suppose driving 350k an hour is better than being in an office, I suppose.
Agreed.
It's one way to look at it.
And having work in an office, I can probably agree. Look, it just seems like one of those things where, like, he's not getting any younger. He's just driving around. He doesn't really get fazed by issues and goes home.
Yeah, I'd love to see him at Audi, at least the first year in 26. But I don't know if...
Hopefully they can do, like, a Braun kind of deal and be really, really good.
Yeah. Bottas winning the championship 26. Let's go.
Can't with that.
Yeah. Other than that, though, they were happy with race pace, both Bottas and Zhou, who was also 15th. They were satisfied with their car pace. They were faster than the Alpines, even though everyone is. But, obviously they got work to do still. And
a lot of work. I think they're kind of focused on 2026 to be honest.
I reckon.
Like they're not going to really develop the car much, especially next year. Next year's not going to be much development at all. So.
No, it's going to be like 21.
Yeah.
We're still, hey, if that's saying anything.
Well, Red Bull did still progress.
Oh yeah. But if that's saying anything though, 2021 season, it's pretty good. Maybe we'll get a good season next year.
True.
But who knows? Jared Crabb says there were some issues in pit lane with Will Guns and Stake had hub issues previously. Yeah, they've been struggling with their pit stops all year, unfortunately. Max Verstappen, the GOAT, says Lewis would have won that race. It's a shame we didn't get to find out, although Lewis was not happy at all this weekend.
What race? Which race would he won?
This race
2021?
No, this race now, I think. The Australian Grand Prix, I think. I don't know.
He wouldn't have won.
But unless he's meaning a different one. But yeah, Lewis, though, he's having an awful year. He's ready to go.
He wants out, man.
Yeah,
he's ready.
He's ready to go.
And having seen his new car finish 1-2, I think he might even just leave next week.
Yeah, exactly. And
after engine failure. Oh my god!
And before we get into the Mercedes properly, before them was Esteban Ocon, the last of the finishers in 16th place. He had a tear-off issue which blocked the engine, I think. So he had to come in and get that sorted. Which, yeah, it's unfortunate. Didn't really help with his race pace anyway with Alpine, but.
I'm surprised those tear-offs don't get in the way every time.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally throwing them up almost into the airbox.
Yeah.
Or the side pods. Like, something. You know what I mean? Like, how does it not get into the engine every single time?
Honestly, who knows?
I think I remember I heard, was it Vettel or something years ago? He used to stuff them in his lap. He didn't throw them up.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Was it Vettel?
I think it was Vettel.
Yeah, he used to stuff him in between his legs.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
It works better. At least it doesn't get into someone's car.
No.
So now, as we head into Mercedes, which is the first two of the DNFs, Jared Crabb says Lewis and George said car had pace issues they couldn't pin down. Yeah, that's pretty much the story of their year so far. They have not been happy. And Russell was in seventh place. Before the crash. Obviously, that's nowhere near where they want to be. They want to win.
Complained about the Red Bull.
Yeah,
when Perez got past them both, they were like, "Holy crap! That car's a rocket ship."
And it is a rocket ship as well. And speaking of rocket ships, in terms of the fire that comes out of rocket ships,
oh yeah.
Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, DNF due to an engine failure, which was Kapuya indeed.
Bang.
Even before that, he said practice 2 was probably the worst session of his Formula 1 career. I think that was practice 2, and that's saying something. Like we said before, he is ready to move on.
It was 18th.
Yeah, it was the worst session he's had ever. Astro, how you going, mate? Sainz is him. What are you referring to, mate? I probably just lost myself there.
Sainz is him means like he is the one.
Yep.
That's what it means. They said that in basketball a lot.
Okay.
No, he is him. He is him.
Thanks for that.
He's the second best driver on the grid.
He's definitely... Well, yeah, no, you're not wrong, though. He is at the moment.
No, I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, he was faster than Charles. Also, that it was cool that Carlos wanted Charles with him side by side in the cool down.
Yeah,
that was
didn't
cool.
quite get the memo, but
no, but that was.
I
cool,
don't think he could have done it because it was VSC.
Yeah. And then he forgot to mention smooth operator as well. He's like, "Oh yeah,
appendix surgery really got to him."
Yeah, that's it. And last but not least, we've got DNF Max Verstappen, who obviously had that brake issue and retired on lap 3. Do you reckon, if he didn't, do you reckon Max would have won?
I don't know.
Because Sainz did pull a really good move on him.
I'm so happy. Yeah, but he had his brake on.
He did have his brake on. But I reckon,
Look,
Max
I
will
don't
win.
know. Let's be positive and say no. But no, the commentators and everyone was like, "This is the closest Red Bull's had competition in a while."
Mm.
So look, I don't know if they would have held off Max, but it would have at least been close. I think.
Actually, now that you say
Because the
that,
DRS is so strong in Melbourne. There's 4 zones.
did they only lead one? Like, did Red Bull only lead one session of the weekend?
I'll find out.
Because I just remember Lando being fastest in practice 1, and then we had Ferraris, I'm pretty sure. Unless Max was...
Yes.
Yeah?
Nope. Yeah, you're right. He qualified P1, and that was it.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, maybe
that's why everyone was so disappointed that he qualified pole, because, there's so much hype around Ferrari and McLaren doing well.
Hey, it worked out in the race. So that's it for the Melbourne Australian Grand Prix. Alex, what would you give it out of 10 in terms of racing?
10. Oh.
I know you're a Ferrari fan, but let's not be biased about this.
Okay. 9. Nah, joking. Racing-wise, look, it wasn't the most entertaining race. Besides lap 5. 3 wasn't it? 3, 5, whatever. Look, I'd probably rate it at like a 5.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I can't really rate that many F1 races in general more than like a 7. Because they're all meh.
I would say... I would give this race a 7, just because the spectacle of it at the start. It did definitely die down really quickly later on.
Yeah.
It did get boring after a while, but that's just Formula 1 for you. Jared says...
Well, to be fair, Sorry, go on.
Max should have pulled up in a Marshall point on track instead of blowing up in the pits. Yeah. Well, although he could have... He drove it. It was still functional. To at least drive it back in there.
Yeah, I suppose. Could you imagine if it was a safety car, though, and they couldn't put Perez? That would have been bad.
That would have been bad. But maybe, maybe we've done that for a safety car, just for spectacle.
Yeah.
But
do what NASCAR do and have the stages and have safety cars at the end of every... That's not a bad idea.
That's Formula 1 should do that.
Yeah.
At least Max won't be a minute
ahead.
Yeah,
look. True, exactly. Look, I think the race wasn't too bad. But like even last year, everyone went crazy with the red flags and all that jazz. From lap 9 to 56, nothing happened. So like, yeah, it's not that entertaining. It's cool, and it's still Formula 1. But, yeah, you know what I mean. Like I can't really rate any race more than a 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, I mean, the on-track action wasn't... There wasn't a lot of on-track action. There wasn't many battles. You kind of knew who was going to win. There was a point where you were comfortable with your predictions, sort of thing. Jared says, I guess Daniel set himself up as Red Bull or bust Yuki got points, but credit Daniel with helping the team. It's a tricky thing, that thing. The whole RB saga.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm just trying to look up something.
But while you do that, I'm going to run through the Drivers' Championship standings after round 3.
Yep.
I swear I said round 2 earlier. I meant round 3.
Yep.
So Verstappen still leads the way with 51 points. And then we've got Leclerc in second with 47. And then we've got Perez, Sainz, who's moved up after his win this weekend. And then we've got Piastri and Norris, that's just 6. And then we've got Russell, Alonso, only 2 points behind. And then we've got Stroll, Hamilton, Tsunoda, who's only 2 points behind Hamilton. And then we've got Behrman, still in 12th. And then we've got Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Albon, Guan Yu, Ricciardo in 17th. And then we've got the 2 Alpines in 18 and 19 with Ocon and Gasly. Bottas and Logan Sargent is 21st in the standings at the moment. And here's how your teams look at the moment. Red Bull leads the way with 97, with Ferrari closing in with 93. And then we've got McLaren in third with 55 points, then Mercedes with 26, so a bit of a gap between them. And then we've got Aston and then RB. Haas is the last team with the points. They got a total of 4 in 7th. And then we've got Williams, Kick Sauber, and last but not least, Alpine. Did you find something out?
I was just kind of looking up the sectors because I was watching the debrief from Karun Chandok on the lap times, and the biggest difference was sector 3, and that's more of like the slower corners, which gives me some hope that there's a chance that the next race in Japan will be pretty decent again. I hope. I don't know. I'm just trying to probably read more into it than there is, but I feel like this week Ferrari made a big jump.
They have. They were
in terms of closing the gap to Red Bull.
Well, like the fact I said, they were topping the sessions. They were together more than Red Bull being split and whatnot. That we haven't seen that in a while. Normally we see Max dominating sessions. So I'm excited. But in saying that, Japan it definitely helps. It works in Red Bull's favour. It's a circuit that has very fast, high-speed corners, which tends to work for Red Bull's aero package. But we'll see. Maybe we'll be surprised again. And on that note, let's get into predictions for the Japanese Grand Prix. So I've got a top 5 that I'll say. I don't know if you have or not.
I don't, but I can make one up.
Okay, you'll make one up, and then we'll compare them when the race happens in a couple of weeks. So, Max Verstappen, I reckon, will win once again, but Sainz in P2. I reckon they'll have the upper edge over McLaren. And then we've got P3, we've got Perez, Piastri 4th, and Leclerc in 5th. And then Verstappen with a pole position. And also, before you get into yours, I reckon we might see double points for RB. That's my theory with Ricciardo, but with Tsunoda still ahead of Ricciardo. But we'll see how that unfolds.
Well, it's just home race, Tsunoda.
Yeah. So,
look, I haven't really thought much into what I'm going to predict. So, if it's wrong, don't at me. But yeah, it'd be hard to say Max not winning, but I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Yeah?
Yep. I think a McLaren will win. The only reason why I'm saying that is because they were really good last year.
No, you're not wrong. I would love to see that.
They were really good, like really fast. And I was looking at the sector times, and Lando was very good in sector 2 at Albert Park, which is very similar to where most of Japan goes. So, I'm going to say a Norris win.
I would like
only
that.
because I don't really want to say Verstappen winning.
No, but the thing is, McLaren last year, McLaren were the second fastest team at Japan. So you might be onto something here.
Where were they last year?
While you do that, also Scotty Honeybone, how are you, mate? Welcome. How good was the supercar racing this weekend? Oh, mate, it was incredible. It was really cool to see. We've got a podcast over on YouTube if you want to check that out. It's our Melbourne review. We did that last night. Definitely rate the racing pretty good this weekend. So, keen for Topor.
Yeah. You know how I said the McLaren were good? Even though they were still 20 seconds behind Max. So, I might be being a bit ambitious.
I felt better before you said that.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was closer than that, but yeah. Anyway, still, Lando Norris to win.
Yeah.
And then I think Leclerc second.
You're really saying Max is not going to get 1 or 2?
Yep. I'm going to be totally wrong. I know I am, but I don't care. It's like hype. I'll put Max third. Either Carlos or Oscar 4th, 5th, and then What's his name?
I don't know.
Perez, 6th.
And who do you reckon's going to get pole?
Max.
All right.
And then I think Lando will swoop through the inside of turn 1, and someone will take out Verstappen, hopefully Perez, and everyone lives happy ever after. Again, 2 weeks in a row.
Like Senna Prost in 1990.
Can I say another thing?
Yeah.
Another prediction? I don't think Mercedes will score a point.
That's it.
And not by DNFing.
But actually, you know what? I had a funny feeling when I was writing predictions. I didn't bother writing it down because maybe they will. But I was thinking the same thing too. What if they're outside the 10?
I genuinely think they will be. If they struggled around... apparently Albert Park is now the fastest track on the calendar.
Is it?
Besides Spa. For average speed. Yeah.
Oh, average speed, yeah. Right.
Well, only 79% of the track is full throttle. It's ridiculous.
I mean, that's how good the aero is.
Yeah, but also the fact that the track doesn't have that many corners. It's only 14.
No.
So, and I think Suzuka's very fast too. It's not, flat out, but...
It's a lot of fast corners, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Scotty Honeybone, Liam Lawson to take Danny's seat at RB for the rest of the season. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
It's probably... I would love to see Liam there. I just feel I hate the way Red Bull do that. They don't give him a full season to...
The problem that I've got is that I don't mind all these rumors about Ricciardo being replaced by Lawson because I'm not surprised. I am surprised they're saying it in Miami. Because usually they do these things in the winter break.
Well, they gave
winter break, summer break.
They gave De Vries 10 races.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Ricciardo did have the end of last year, which he did well in, by the way. This year it's not working out as good.
No.
So, look, who knows? But yeah, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised of when they want to do it. So
we'll see what happens. But I reckon Liam is the future. He deserves a seat. As much as I love Ricciardo, I do have to say, give Liam the seat instead. But I wish Danny could still prove himself for the whole year instead of being kicked out halfway through. I just don't agree with that part. But it is what it is. That's the Red Bull strategy there. But that's it for our F1 debrief. Of course, if you didn't catch this live, you can watch this on YouTube and listen on Spotify. If you do, be sure to like and subscribe and spam the like if you're on the live. Also, give 5-star rating on Spotify. It helps a lot. Helps us get out there more. Alex, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, go Ferrari.
That's it.
And hope Max doesn't finish the race the rest of the year.
I would love to see if we can have one of the Red Boys in the winning every race. I won't mind that.
I honestly, like when Max DNF'd, I just sat back on the couch, crossed my legs, like I don't care who wins. Literally don't care.
Yeah.
It could have been Perez for all that I cared. I genuinely didn't care. I was like, anyone else can win.
Yeah. Jared says it's more like an open circuit in street setting. Yeah, exactly. That's the Albert Park. Like half the time you don't even know it's actually a street circuit. The way the layout is.
And having been there on a normal day, I don't know if anyone's watching lives in Melbourne, but I went for a holiday and it's literally just like it's a park. It's not. It's a public road and you can drive on it, but it's not like it's a busy road like Adelaide's is. So yeah, but no, the race was very good. I enjoyed it. And I hope a lot more F1 races like this one.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Carlos Sainz, 24 champion. Hey,
is Japan this week or weekend after?
Weekend after. So they have Easter and then they get into it.
Cool.
So we've got a break in terms of F1 and V8 podcasts for now.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for maybe some content along the way. Don't know. See what happens. Scotty Honeybone reckons Carlos will win the championship this year. I would love that. I still think Max will do it.
Winning the championship and getting kicked out of Ferrari in the same year?
Again, proving them wrong. That's my. He's on a hunt this year. I'm open to that for sure.
I didn't even think about the Red Bull thing until you mentioned it. I reckon that's a possibility.
Yeah, see what happens. Yeah, so that's it from us. Be sure to like and spam the like button, subscribe. Check out our merch store up above our heads here. Of course, we got shirts, as you can see. We've also got hats as well, and mugs for the good measure. So be sure to check that out as well. If you're on Spotify, be sure to give that 5-star rating once again, like I said. And if you want to be part of our podcast in the future, keep an eye out for our socials, where we'll be live over on TikTok and YouTube for our pods. And tomorrow in midday, I'll be doing maybe do a stream on iRacing, see how we go. So stay tuned for a lot of stuff from us. Of course, we've got a couple of weeks until F1 racing. But we'll see what happens.
We should do that live. We should watch the race live because it's perfect for us to the time zones.
Actually, in saying that, I want to do more watch-alongs for F1, even if it's in the middle of the night for us. So keep an eye out for our YouTube and TikTok for that. That should be cool.
It's an idea that's been floated around, but I think we should do it definitely for Japan because time zone-wise, it's going to help us a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's like 4:30, 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, something like that. That's the good thing about Japan.
And China's the same. Back to back.
Yeah.
And then it gets ruined later.
Yeah. Scotty says, do you guys cover rallying? No, we don't, unfortunately. We've got so many motorsport events we can't keep up. But
we're struggling to keep up with the ones we've said we're going to do.
Yeah, we'll try our best, though. But we do...
Yeah, trying.
Rallying, though, is cool. I dig it. But, that's it from us. Have a good night, everyone. Like I said, if you didn't catch all of the live, you can watch it again tomorrow night over on YouTube. And, that's it.